Hello, my name is Robert Dean Steele, and this is your daily Bible class. We've been looking at the Sermon on the Mount. Now, Jesus had something to say about alms and works of charity. Listen to what he said. In Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 to 4, it says, "Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others, to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. When you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues or on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their full reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." Now, what Jesus is basically saying is those individuals who do great works of charity. Now, I was thinking of particularly Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. Now, what they've done is they've done tremendous things. They both have given billions of dollars to charitable organizations, and that's right and proper to do that. But when they did, they contacted their publicist and says, "This is what we're going to do." And of course, the world came and applauded them. Just recently, there was a Saudi prince that gave $32 billion to Islamic charities, but he did it in such a way to announce it to the world. Well, Jesus says basically this: they have received their reward already. If Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or the Saudi prince actually get to heaven, they're going to be standing there saying, "Look what I did, all these gracious works of charity." And the Lord will say to them, "Well, you've already received what you wanted in full. You did it for the praise of men." Jesus says when you do works of charity, he says, or alms, or helping people, or the needy, do it in secret. That way, nobody gets the credit except God. And God, who sees all and knows all, he is the one who's going to reward you. He uses the illustration of not letting your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Basically, what Jesus is saying is when you help someone else, don't do it to get the praise of men, because if you do it for the praise of men, you have already received your reward. Don't expect God to pat you on the back and say, "Well done," because you've already received all the praise and adoration that you're going to receive. But if you do it in quiet, if you do it in secret, you do it where nobody knows, then of course you receive rewards in heaven. A friend of mine, whose name was Ken Ball, talked to me about the time where they were in Bible college and they had run out of money and out of food. And they prayed about the situation. And they went to their mailbox that day, and someone left them a $500, like 5 $100 bills. There was no note except it said this: "God spoke to my heart to give it to you." There was no name, but they received that gift that day. Whoever gave that gift to them that day received a reward from heaven. Why? Because they did it in secret. Ken and Kate never did know who gave it to them. But I'll tell you something, that was such a blessing for them, and it was such a blessing for whoever gave it, because God saw their heart. Many times the Lord has met my need or my need of my family through anonymous givers or donors. And you know what? It's such a blessing to know that God is taking care of you and that God has spoken to someone's heart about doing that. So Jesus says this: when you do alms or charity or give gifts or help the needy, always do it in a manner that brings glory to God and not to yourself. Because if you bring glory to yourself and people see what's going on and say, "Well done," you've already received your reward in heaven. And when you stand before God and say, "God, I did all these things," he'll say, "Listen, you've already received your reward. But if you did it in secret and you did it for him, then you're going to receive a reward." Not that you're doing it for reward. In no matter where you're doing that, because you're just loving God and loving people. But God says he will reward you. My name is Robert Dean Steele. This is your daily Bible class. You have yourself a great and godly day.